Yeah, so that was the Smiths with There Is a Light That Never Goes Out from the 1986 album The Queen Is Dead. So yeah, it's a pretty old album, and I had never really listened to the Smiths before. I'd listened to a little bit of Morrissey every now and then, but even then it was not something that I got super into. But how I kind of discovered this is I am a big Rick Astley fan. And Rick Astley has been touring with a band called Blossoms, and they perform songs. They perform the Smiths catalog. Okay. And so Rick Astley and Blossoms did the Smiths catalog at Glastonbury, and there was a video that went viral of Rick Astley and Blossoms doing this song, and it was fucking amazing. Like, it was fucking awesome. Like, I loved the song, and it made me want to go check out the original. And I didn't realize that Morrissey was the lead singer of the Smiths. It was just one of those things. I just didn't really think about it. Like, I had heard about the Smiths. Like, they were very, very revolutionary. I guess they're considered one of the pioneering, like, British indie rock groups of the 80s. So I had heard of them. And it's one of those bands that you think you know their music because you just hear that. But it turns out I never really did. And even with Morrissey, like, I know him pretty peripherally, and I just know his music. I never knew. Because he's not really known for some of his opinions are pretty controversial, and I did not know that, so I just want to make that clear. But for me it's not about that. Like, this is really just about the music. So I went and I listened to this album. I listened to this song, and I just Morrissey's just got that way of carrying a tune that it's full of emotion. And there's something about the lyrics with this song that it's so like romantic and fatalistic at the same time, and the whole idea of it's such a young idea, if as long as we're together, if we were in a fucking like car crash, as long as I died by your side, it'll be fine, and
like doom romanticism.
Yeah, and I miss that shit, I do because like I was all about that at one point, it's like and there's something about it that's so quintessentially so quintessentially English, but English of that period, and just checking out the rest of the album. It's a really solid album. Big Mouth Strikes Again is another good song. I Know It's Over is a good song. Cemetery Gates is a good song, and I recommend check out the Glastonbury video of Rick Astley and Blossoms doing this song. My introduction to Morrissey was actually 2009. It was the first time I worked in not my first time, but it was the first time I got like a gig in Singapore in which I had to be in Singapore for like an extended amount of time. And I remember going to like Bugis Junction. At the time, you could still bought physical media, and I bought 4 things. I bought 2 DVDs and 2 CDs, and I got because they put me up in this 2-bedroom apartment that was fully loaded, had a fucking DVD player and CD player and everything, and but I was all on my own. It was my first time really in Singapore. I didn't fucking know anyone. So I went into the music shop, and I bought the collector's edition of Forrest Gump with the director's commentary. I got the DVD of Recount, that HBO original film about the 2000 election recount. And I got Bruce Springsteen's Working on a Dream, and Morrissey's Years of Refusal. So I'm not like a huge Morrissey fan, and I don't know a lot of his music, but I know that fucking album word for word because it was those 4 things were my main sort of like music and movie consumption over 2 months. Like, I can quote Forrest Gump from beginning to end because of those 2 months.
I get it.
But that was so that was my kind of like my introduction to Morrissey. I did not realize at all that he was the lead singer of the Smiths, and it was Rick Astley and Blossoms that got me into the Smiths. How weird is that?
I think it's interesting because it's not again, it's a good song, but the Smiths and Morrissey, there's certain groups where I appreciate their talent and especially their influence, right? But I still haven't found an in yet. And this still isn't it quite, because it still feels like what I've heard before.
Right.
With the Smiths. Because, to me, I've always been kind of amazed with how the Smiths and Morrissey still can make an impact now. Back when I had my skateboard company with Aldous, one of our friends, the skater from Mother Plucker, He's this young dude, Chinese guy that grew up in England, right? And he was a huge Morrissey fan. So I actually did a spray stencil on a board for him of Morrissey.
Oh wow!
Right?
That big of a fan?
Like that big of a fan. Like it was one of the covers. One of the covers was like looking like this and shit, in black and white. So cut up a stencil for him.
I know the cover.
So yeah, but it's like I feel the same way about Morrissey as I do for like someone like Bob Dylan or Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Where I totally understand the impact.
Yeah.
Right? And you like the influence of the Smiths.
You haven't found an in for Springsteen yet?
There are tracks that I like, but I haven't found an in that makes me go, I need to go into this album deeper.
Right.
Because it's where like there was this other filmmaker I knew who was a huge Springsteen fan, right? Talking about how much Springsteen rocks, and then he passed me like a playlist.
Yeah.
And like I'm like Dancing in the Dark, and like all these songs like this is rock to you, huh? And because to me like the Springsteen tracks that I like is of course like Born in the USA, Radio Nowhere, and I weirdly have a soft spot for his soundtrack songs like Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, they're great songs.
Philadelphia is a great track.
Have you heard Ghost of Tom Joad?
Yes. And I've heard the Rage Against the Machine cover as well. But it's nothing enough to make me want to go, like, when I see, like, for example, our mutual friend Benji. He went to see Springsteen in the States.
Yeah, that's right, he did.
And he fucking queued up since, like,
since
sunup. But I see, like, he's, like, right there. But I'm like,
yeah.
There are not many bands that I would do this for. And, you know what I mean? So with the Smiths, it's kind of the same. Same with Dylan, where it's, like, great songwriter, but...
I've tried to get
some Vicks Vapor Rub or something.
Yeah, I've tried to get into Dylan. It's I'm sorry. I mean,
like you appreciate the writing, but at the same time, it's like Jimi Hendrix plays this better.
I appreciate the impact.
Yes.
Like there's no denying the cultural impact.
Yeah.
But I missed the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the Smiths and with Morrissey, it's somewhat like that, but there's also this mystery to it that I can't quite figure out, like how a lot of like LA Latino people love
fucking Morrissey. Like he's got a huge Latino fucking
and he's just like, really?
Yeah.
You guys rolling around in lowriders listening to the Smiths? This
is
curious. So it's that's one of those things where I understand his impact, but I'm also like, there's this mystery to it. Like, how is this reaching people that I didn't expect it to reach? So yeah, absolute respect, but there still hasn't been an end for me yet.
Yeah, the first time I heard Morrissey, like with the album, like Years of Refusal, and the first track on there was like nothing like I imagined what Morrissey would sound like.
Oh,
and the first track is Something Is Squeezing My Skull, and that was literally my anthem for those 2 months I was in Singapore. It's a perfect fucking song to listen to if you're in Singapore for 2 months and it's your first time there.
Okay,
from Malaysia.
I gotta pause you for a second. So no part of your mind thought to bring your own CD collection?
No. I didn't know
they were gonna be there for 2 months.
I didn't know they were putting me up in a fucking place that would have a CD player.
You didn't have a Discman?
No, I didn't have a Discman then.
Oh wow!
I didn't have it. I fucked my Discman up. My Discman was broken. It didn't work.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But it's like I remember like the opening is like this hard fucking like electric guitar, and he's like, "I'm doing very well." I was like, I can block out the present and the past now. And it was just like, well, it was what I needed to hear at the time.
Okay.
I was just
I want to check out that album.
Like, fuck yeah. Fucking Morrissey's rocking it. I thought you were a balladeer or something. Because I didn't know.
Because, like, if you had to get me to describe the music, it'd be like indie shoegazy.
Yeah, and I'd say that's pretty fair. Right? But like, there was something about that particular album that it just kind of like, what? This is more. I never thought this was Morrissey, and that made me want to go back and listen to like older Morrissey stuff. And I never pieced it together because it's like I'm not the type of person to Google. Like even though it's right there, I very rarely Google shit, and I'll be talking to someone and I'll mention something, and then
they'll whip out the phone instead,
and then like I'm still trying to figure shit out, and like less than 2 minutes later they're explaining it to me. I'm like, how do you know this? I just Googled it. And it's like, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think to Google that shit?
Oh man, you still use the old ways?
Yeah.
Hey, at least you're not like.
I had to wait for an artist from the '80s to team up with a young band. To become a cover band of an 80s indie rock group for me to discover the rock group from the 80s, to discover that
It's so confusing.
to discover that a guy that I listened to from the 80s but didn't listen to 2009 was the lead singer of said group. I could have just Googled that shit.
Oh man.
Talk about doing things the hard way, right?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So,
What you
okay,
got?
for me, this is actually something new, and
Okay.
it literally popped up on my YouTube feed a couple days ago.
Something new, like it just came out.
Just came out
Right.
like a month ago
Okay.
from the time of this recording, and it popped up in my feed a couple days ago. And this is a band called Wargasm
All right.
from the new album Venom, and the song is called "Do It So Good."